Most of us today do not think so much about investments and how we can maximize a return through investments. And this happens primarily because we are either short of time, so we don't have enough time to figure out how to optimize the returns on investments, or we sometimes don't have the expertise to understand how the capital markets work, which is the best place to invest, how to choose the right places for investment. This is where mutual funds come and play a very important role. What we actually do in a mutual fund is that we outsource this job to a professional fund manager, and what he is supposed to do is that he picks out the right kind of scripts in the capital markets, either debt or equity, to figure out how the returns can be made on your investment and optimize the returns for you as an investor. Mutual funds are a very good form of investment, especially for individual investors. As an investor, when we are looking at any kind of investment, what do we need? We need that my investment should be safe. We need that my investment should give good returns. We need that my investment should be well diversified, and it should be well regulated and transparent. And I think all of these properties come from mutual funds. If I look at mutual funds, they are well regulated. It gives you a diversified pool of investment even through a small amount of money that we want to invest. So even if I want to invest 1,000 rupees in a systematic investment plan, it gives me a diversified investment on various instruments at the ground level. How this happens is because mutual funds actually pool in investments from various investors, and then they buy the underlying securities. This helps us really get the diversification which is there, which makes the investment safe. What we also need from our investment is that it should be transparent. Mutual funds declare their NAVs end of day every day, so we can actually track and figure out how our investments are performing, and we can take decisions accordingly. There are different kind of equity mutual funds available to any investor today. There are diversified funds, there are large cap, mid cap funds, there are sectoral funds, index funds, and tax saving funds. These all fall under the equity mutual funds category. Let us look at them a little more in detail. So what does a diversified mutual fund do? A diversified mutual fund invests all the investments into various sectors. So even if a few sectors are doing well, the investments can give good returns. However, a large cap and a mid cap kind of a mutual fund actually focuses our investment into small cap and the large cap and the mid cap companies. And these companies are picked up by the professional fund managers, and they believe that these companies will become the large caps of tomorrow, and hence they can give good returns. Sectoral mutual funds are the ones which actually invest in particular sectors. So they can be a pharma sector fund, an IT sector fund, a banking sector fund, or an infrastructure sector fund. What they do is they invest most of their money into a particular sector. So as an investor, if we believe that because of certain movements in the economy, certain sectors will do well, then sectoral funds can give us a good exposure into those sectors. An index fund is something which is a very passive fund which invests in a particular index. So it could be a Nifty index or it could be a Sensex index, and we just need to track the index to figure out how our funds are doing, and that's how the investment happens. While a tax saving fund is something that all of us use very frequently when we are trying to save tax under section 80C. So these are ELSS funds where we put a lump sum investment and we have a lock-in and we get benefit under tax 80C, and at the time of redemption we are able to get a return which is tax free. There are various kinds of debt funds, but broadly we can classify them into three broad categories. One is a liquid fund, then there are income funds, and then there are fixed maturity plans. So if we look at liquid funds are debt funds which invest in instruments with very short term maturity, like money market or cash market, or with less than 90 days of maturity is where the investment in liquid fund happens. What we can actually do as an investor is that instead of parking all our money in savings bank account, we can actually park it in liquid funds, and liquid funds will give us a much higher return as compared to a savings bank account. And today these processes are so smooth that I can actually put a redemption request on my liquid fund and I will get a credit into my bank account the next day morning. Then if we look at income funds are a very broad category, and there are various kinds of income funds. They go from short term to medium term to long term income funds, and also to gilt funds. This is based on the underlying duration of the security. By duration, which means that how long will the underlying instrument take to mature. Then the last category is the fixed maturity plans. The fixed maturity plans can actually be compared with a fixed deposit of a bank, and they are much more efficient instruments. Why are they efficient? Because a fixed maturity plan actually can give us a much higher post-tax return as compared to a bank FD. So if as an investor my tax bracket is either in the 20% tax slab or in the 30% tax slab, then the fixed maturity plan gives me a much higher post-tax return as compared to a bank FD, and this can actually increase my investments from the debt instruments. Mutual funds, I think, is one of the most preferred routes for wealth creation over a long period of time. We can start small with a systematic investment plan, and over a period of time, it can actually create good wealth for us. It helps us in having a disciplined investment and gives us the benefit of compounding. So even a small investment gathers and gives us a long-term benefit of wealth creation. So I think what we would want and urge all the investors to do is take your first step now. Find out a good diversified or a sectoral mutual fund for yourself which you want to invest in, and take that first step and start investing.